We may not all agree on how to parent our children, but one thing we can all agree on is that we want to make sure this generation is raised to be gentlemen. And joining me today in the studio is prominent plastic surgeon Dr. John Lakey, who is a father of three, happily married, and has decided to write a book for us on how to raise gentlemen. Wow, John, I don't know how you do it all, but thank you.
Thanks for having me.
You're amazing. I mean, you're a really busy father. You're so involved. You're an amazing husband. You're an amazing surgeon. And now you've written a book. I mean, where did you find the time and why did you decide to write this book?
You know, the funny part is it started off as kind of a fun project with the kids. I mean, my wife's Kendall is Texan. I'm from Wisconsin. And we kind of blend some of our morals, ethics, and values together. And that's how we want to raise our children. And she comes from very, Southern style where it's yes sir, yes ma'am. And, when you hear about those things, you always go through life and you always notice the person who's ultra respectful. And I always wanted to emulate that. And so that's what we teach our kids. We hammer home certain concepts and we think there are a few pillars of becoming a gentleman. And so as a fun project, I just started asking the boys, all right, now, out of all things we've taught you, what really stands out? What is it to you to be a gentleman? And so that's kind of how we created the concept of the book. I said, you know what, I'm going to write a book about this. They said, sure, Dad, let's do it. So it was kind of like a family project where everyone contributed. And then we just made it fun. And so I ended up just writing it on a whim. And I kept promising the boys, don't worry, you're going to see it. They would ask me, every week, okay, where are we with this? But it's just simply, I think, some of the basic ideas behind being a kind human, right? I mean, I think we're starting to lose our way and everybody's so separate and segregated. And, we're forgetting the fact that we have so many similarities. And one of the ways to bring these out is by being a gentleman or being a lady. I mean, I don't want it to have a negative connotation. Sometimes people can say, oh, well, that's not my style. The style is treating someone with respect and showing yourself respect. And that's where the book derived from.
I mean, I love it, but it's so true. And I know your boys, so a testament to how you're raising them, you and Kendall. They
Thank
are
you.
so polite. They walk in, they look you in the eye, they shake your hand, and they're so young and they're so polite. But that's just the basis of humankind. We should just be respectful and kind to one another. This is not something that's political, right? So we should be teaching our children this, and I love it. What is one of your favorite chapters or to-dos in your book that you want to share with people?
It's so funny, and you may laugh, but it's where they talk about making their bed every day. I'll never forget, before I went to medical school, I worked for the then named Anderson Consulting, and the head of HR, after I made it through the process, now it's Accenture. But when I made it through the process, there was a question that they asked every single applicant. It was, do you make your bed every day? And they said that there were studies that correlated. If you made your bed every single day, you were going to be a fantastic employee. If you made your bed sometimes, then sometimes you wouldn't show up for work. And if you didn't make your bed at all, you knew that was not a candidate that cared about just a daily routine or something like that. So it always stuck with me. And so, we have a point-based system at home. Certain number of points. And it's really, it's literary based. So how many pages you read, you get a point. And that's how it started. But then every now and then we'll say, all right, if you make your bed, brush your teeth, get dressed and come downstairs and eat breakfast, you get another point. And then at a certain number of points, then they can pick out something small on Amazon, or it just makes it fun, right? And so making their bed, now they look at it and say, he didn't quite tuck it in over here. I love it because my boys are so competitive. They're making sure that the point is well earned.
Oh, I love it. Well, you're so meticulous yourself. I know that. And so they've learned to do that as well, which is incredible. But I love that the basics of, you talk about brushing your teeth, making your bed, all of those things that you really can't be a gentleman if you don't do those basic things. And at a young age to learn to be that way and to take, gratitude for everything that you have is a big part of your book.
Sure. I think, it's twofold, right? One is taking care of yourself. To be a gentleman, you're properly cleaning yourself. So they talk about, taking a shower. They talk about brushing their teeth and kind of cleaning up after yourself. And then the other half of the book is really how you treat others. You always tell the truth. So there's a story in there where, my son is telling me the truth after he broke a window with a baseball, right? And we always tell him the same thing. We say, look, if you always tell us the truth, you'll never get in trouble. But then it's also how you treat others, holding a door. I mean, these are some of the basic things that I grew up with that have been lost. I watch as you're going into a store, and my sons will hold the door for 20 people coming out, right? But you rarely see that, especially at that age. And I think we're just losing that connection with each other where you have that much respect. It doesn't take much to show the person next to you that you have no idea who they are, that you care about them too.
Yeah, it's just kindness.
Yes.
It's common respect. It's what we should all be doing for one another. It's interesting because my girls now, they're older and they say, Mom, there are really no gentlemen out there. And a lot of young men, when I say to them, why don't you open the door for the young women to walk through? They say, we're afraid to because they many times bark at us and tell us, I can open my own door. What do you have to say to that?
We've developed this culture where we can no longer rely on someone for something. And I think you've lost a part of humanity, right? Each of us plays a role. Doesn't mean that one role is better than the other. But to simply, if I go on it's date night with the wife and I happen to open the door for her, it just shows I care enough about her well-being. It's not demeaning. It's not saying, I think that sometimes people equate chivalry with, this negative aspect, which I don't even know how you can look at it that way, right? And so it is unfortunate that your daughters are saying there are no gentlemen out there. And it's unfortunate that these young men should have a fear of treating someone with so much respect that you put them first. That to me is paramount.
100%. And that's how you were raised. We were talking earlier before we got on air about how it's so sad how when you come from different parts of the United States, it's just given, right?
You're right.
And
I think, it shouldn't be that way. Like the Midwest is known for its kindness. The South is known for being gentlemen and, having just that chivalry. But why does it have to be location dependent? Why can't it be that you go to New York and people can be just as respectful as someone in Dallas, Texas? I just don't understand the reasoning for that. And people come up with a million excuses. New York is just a bunch busier, or LA, it's because no one's really from here and they all come in trying to make it and everybody's struggling. But I think if you realized just that hint of kindness that passes from one person to the next, to the next, to the next, there's a snowball effect that can frankly change our country right now.
I really, really agree with you. And starting young is the key. So this book that you wrote that's dedicated to your boys and your family really can have the ripple effect of changing the world. Because it's you read this at night with your kids every night, you're changing the way they look at the world and essentially who they are as a human being.
I hope so. I mean, look, it's fun. It's a quick read. And it solidifies certain pillars of humanity. And it's not, look, we talked about it before. Of course, I have a younger daughter, so I cannot just write one for the boys. And so, the next one coming out relatively soon is going to be, it's not easy being a lady. And, when you call someone a lady, for some reason, now there's this bitter connotation associated with that, when a lady should be elegant and regal, despite status, despite race, despite anything else. And so hopefully I can re-implement that. And we're going to start with our kids. I mean, look, sometimes it only takes one.
You got to start somewhere, and someone's got to do it. And I'm so glad, Dr. Lakey, it's you. I don't have boys, but I can't wait. I can't wait for the book that comes out dedicated to Violet. Where can everybody get your book?
Sure. So it's easy. You just go to Amazon and you can look up It Isn't Easy Being a Gentleman. And there's another spot called Ingram. And so you can buy it there. Well, but Amazon tends to be the easiest.
Amazing. Well, with the holidays coming up, I really think it's a great idea. It's inexpensive. It's easy to read. It's fabulous. I'm so proud. I'm so proud to know you, who you are. You are the quintessential gentleman. So it befits you that you are the one who authored this book. Thank you for making the world a better place, Dr. Lakey.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Get out there, get a copy. Can't wait for the girl version to come out on how to be a lady. And we'll see you all next time right here on Moms Matter.